Good afternoon. We're here this afternoon with Peggy Jackson here in the studio, and welcome, Peggy.
Thank you.
We just want to talk a little bit about your experience working in charcoal. Were you really aware of them when you were in the class, like aware of how whatever you were doing in that moment was measuring up against somebody else's? Was that an issue for you or not?
No, that wasn't an issue for me. Because I was just starting out, and I knew that, some people were here for at least 6 or 7 months prior to me coming here.
Were there any other newbies that started when you started?
I'm not sure. I think it was one other, but they didn't stay.
Oh,
They
okay.
didn't stay.
So that made it, in a way, that made it easier then, because there was nothing to measure against.
And I'm not necessarily a competitive person. I kind of march to my own. But I was eager to learn the technique. So I was more into understanding the technique and learning as much as I could. I picked up on it pretty fast in the sense that, as far as the interest in it, the skill came as I went along. The interest in it kept growing as I grew. How has this new it feels like I'm minimizing it if I call it a pastime, and it feels like it's very mechanical if I just refer to it as a skill, but how has this new experience altered the way you spend your days or your time outside of the art class? For me, I believe in having time for myself and time to reflect, and I put time aside to do the art.
How much time do you put aside on average?
Busy schedule, but I usually put about at least 2 days to 3 days.
Really?
I take one day and then I start going back to do any additional work. And then sometimes I may stop and bring it to class half done. But I try to be in the mindset when I sit down. I like working early in the morning. And there's a jazz channel on cable. And I smooth jazz, and I put that on. And it just helps me to just relax. I find it very relaxing to do.
Most people do say that they...
I think it's just being able to work through the process, because I'm able to it's the way you process it. It's smoothing out, and it's
the actual mechanics of doing it, the scratch of your pencil, then the rubbing and the
erasing and
blending and
the different tools that you can use. Because I've had some disasters, but I enjoy doing it. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I did one on my grandmother, it came out real bad.
But you did it also very early.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it just showed me, because basically, when things go wrong, you can learn from them. And so it was a learning experience. And I'll do it again sometime that I'm ready to do it.
So what have you been drawing about mostly?
Mainly portraits, because I want to do an African collection for my hair. Because I have a lot of wall space, and I want to take a different approach. I have a lot of artwork, but I want to use my hair art, and so I want to make an African theme. And my mother's family is from Cameroon. That's why I did the Cameroon name.
I see.
And I just like all the art I collect is of people. People art first. I don't collect that many landscapes. I found that out after about 20 years of collecting art.
That you didn't have any landscapes?
Very few landscapes. And I can do landscapes by sketching, but it's not as exciting.
That's a huge, that's my experience in all these years of teaching. It's hugely true of people of color.
Yes, I
that they have not seen themselves enough.
Yeah.
So there's like this deficiency of vitamin whatever, and they come in and they just have to do another face. They have to do a face.
And I worked in the school system, so I wanted my students to see the people that.
Have you taken any of your pieces into?
No, I'm not working in the
Oh,
school system.
okay.
But sometimes I do guidance classes, and some children aren't that proficient in writing, so they would draw the exercise. So I let them do it.
Is there any advice that you would give to somebody else your age or older who may be hesitant about, and not even necessarily about a charcoal drawing class, but about any experience where they don't already know that they have a proficiency for an aptitude for?
I guess my advice would be to be open-minded and to don't come with any preconceptions about negative preconceptions, like I can't do this or whatever. Come with an open mind that says I can take on the challenge. I'm up to the challenge, and feeling comfortable about it. About taking it on. It's not going to work every time for me. Because I've shown my pieces to some of my friends, and they say I can't do that. I said yes, you can. I said you once you get the instructions and you understand how to use.
How early on did you start sharing with them?
In recent months. So you gave yourself a few months before you went into the share thing, which is probably a wise thing to do. There is such a thing as sharing too soon. Yeah, just recently. And they encourage me, but I encourage them too to come take the class. This summer working.
What value, if any, is there in the other people that sit in this same room, in the same space with you when you work? Do you notice them there? Like, what is the level of? Do they enrich the experience? Or are they just fellow journeymen? Or
I think there's a connection. The people that are here, about 3 of us have been here for a while, and I think it's a connection between us.
Because you've been, I don't even think we said in this interview that, how long have you actually been in this class?
I came last January, the middle college.
Just a year, yeah, just.
And I just find that people are very helpful, the ones that are here, and the ones that stay are the ones that seem to be committed to not just the process, but the environment they're in, as far as sharing and giving each other encouragement. And I just find it very, very. It's something I look forward to every Tuesday.
I watch people, but I often don't really think about it in the same way I thought about it when I would teach public school. What is the relationship, but how do fellow students impact others? Because you don't really need them. You don't really need to borrow anything from them in order to execute what you're doing. So you're in a space with this other people, and you're both doing. You're both drawing things based on your own likes, your own interests, and I just wonder, what is the relationship like? Would you notice if the people changed, if there were more in the room, if there were less in the room? Is it a female thing, although we never had a lot of males in the room? Do you think that the age of the other students has any impact one way or the other?
I'm one of the younger ones, but they're more mature. I like the size of the class.
It's very small. Very, very unusual to be in a class this small.
I prefer it to be small, and I look at maturity of the people that are around me. We're very mature. and
Old?
I call it mature, mature and sexy. You know, but it's people, and I knew some of them before I came here. You know, but I find it as a social thing, but it's not like we're busy talking. We're also getting our craft in order and trying to start. I look at ways to improve, that I'm improving, and yet I can still compliment somebody else. And
it's not competitive. It's not competitive.
It's not competitive.
Can you project? Can you see where you might take it beyond the advancement of your personal collection of art in your own space, which is always a rewarding thing to do?
It's something we talked about last week about feelings, and emotions. I like to do something around, because I'm a therapist. I have a therapeutic background. I'd like to come up with something with charcoal drawings and have a feeling and talk about that feeling, because I've been through situations myself and with clients where I've experienced a host of feelings and they've experienced, like, it's, you know, people have experienced rejection, they've experienced pain, emotional pain through a lot of things, betrayal, all sorts of things.
So using the imagery in a therapeutic sense,
right? And
so people can speak to the drawing and say how does
right.
it how
be like a tool that therapists can use, and have a scenario or a dialogue where they're able to relate to that. And because I do supervision now, clinical supervision, and so that helps me to guide people through the process, the clinical process sometimes, and help them to be more empowered.
It was interesting because recently I was looking on YouTube and there was a black woman, I don't remember her name, I think she taught at a university and she was a historian, and very late in her life she started to take up art and she started drawing about the things that, you know, the historical artifacts and whatever, and she said it just took her work in a whole different dimension. It was an extension of it, but it seemed like it was more than just an extension, because she could have had a photograph of the pieces, but somehow the making of it going along with the rest. Well, I want to thank you very much for for sharing your something of your experience, and we'll talk again. But
life, or it could be something of my own life, but it's something that other people can use and reflect on.
Of course, because emotions are universal experiences. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we
Well, one thing I want to add is that I enjoy coming, and I just like to see other people take advantage of it. They'd be surprised how rewarding it can be.
No, that's why I think they really need to hear your voices, because I think when people just look at the work, there's always the belief, well, it must have come easy for you, because they don't see the development, they only see this final product. And then when they hear that you're taking classes, they have no idea, well, what do you do when the class is over? It's a 3-hour class once a week. And so, you know, today they get a chance to hear you say that because it's meditative, because it's quietening and it's soothing, that you find it, I believe you're going to find that you spend more and more and more time doing it, because you get as much hooked on what it does for you as the picture that you're actually creating when you're creating it. So it has like double, you get interest on your...
It's more like it's more beneficial.